Welcome to your deep dive.
Oh, this is exciting.
Today we're diving into some excerpts from Deity, Divinity, Trinity, Science.
Okay.
It's a fascinating book, really. It blends, spirituality and leadership, even pop culture, with insights that honestly might surprise you.
I'm intrigued.
Are you ready to see how these seemingly completely different ideas connect?
Absolutely. Yeah, this book really seemed to encourage a really unique way of thinking. It urges readers to consider the connections between all sorts of different fields and experiences.
One of the most, I think, intriguing ideas is this concept of building a personal pantheon.
Okay.
So instead of just adhering to, really established religious structures, the book suggests that you can identify those aspects of the divine that resonate most deeply with you. What are your thoughts on that?
That's it. That is a great question.
Yeah.
I think it has the potential to both challenge traditional faith, but also be a way to deepen a personal connection to spirituality.
I see.
Yeah, for some people, it might be a way to, break free from doctrines that they find rigid and find a more personalized approach to their spirituality.
Right, right.
But for others, it could be a way to delve deeper into their existing faith,
Yeah.
you know, explore different facets of the divine that they may not have considered before.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I can see how it could be a really powerful exercise for self-discovery, for sure.
It definitely encourages a more active and engaged approach to spirituality.
Yeah.
You're invited to be the architect of your own beliefs.
That's a really interesting way to put it. The book then takes a deep dive into the concept of the Trinity.
Okay.
And you'll discover how this idea, which is, often associated with Christianity, it actually transcends specific religions.
It's really fascinating to see how, the concept of a trinity representing balance and interconnectedness, it pops up in all sorts of different cultures and belief systems.
Like what, for instance?
Well, you have the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit in Christianity.
Of course, yeah.
But then there's the Hindu Trimurti of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and even the Egyptian triad of Osiris, Isis, and Horus.
Right, right. It makes you wonder if there's this fundamental human need to kind of understand the complexities of existence through this lens of three interconnected forces.
Like a compelling thought for sure.
Yeah.
And similar to the personal pantheon concept, the book encourages readers to build their own trinity based on, their personal values. So think about this. What three core principles are essential to your life?
Ooh, that's a good question. I like that. Now get ready, because the book takes an unexpected turn.
Oh.
It starts exploring how science and spirituality might actually complement each other.
Okay.
What initially caught my eye was this discussion of quantum superposition and how it relates to consciousness. Imagine your thoughts just like unobserved particles existing in multiple states, potentially influencing the reality you experience.
Okay, so it's kind of like a mind-bending idea that challenges our conventional understanding of reality.
Right, exactly.
And then there's, quantum entanglement.
Yeah.
Where two particles, no matter how far apart, are linked.
Right.
Which, resonates with the idea of interconnectedness found in many spiritual traditions.
It's almost as if science is starting to catch up with what spiritual practices have been exploring for centuries.
And the book even suggests simple experiments you can try to explore these concepts yourself.
Really?
Yeah, if you're feeling adventurous, I'd recommend giving one a try.
Interesting. Then there's this discussion of the aura.
Yeah.
Described as an energy field surrounding a person.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the new age concept here. The book connects it to physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being, referencing systems like chakras and meridians.
Right.
It even has this quiz connecting aura colors to moods and personality.
While that is fun, I was particularly intrigued by the guided visualization for sensing your aura. I think you'd find that a powerful exercise for self-awareness.
Oh, interesting.
Have you ever tried anything like that?
I've dabbled in meditation, but I'm not sure I've ever specifically tried to sense my aura. Definitely something I'm curious to explore further. Now, shifting gears a bit, the book dives into the world of belief systems, specifically contrasting monotheism and polytheism.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this section provides a clear explanation of these two systems, using examples from the Abrahamic traditions, which are monotheistic, and polytheistic systems like Hinduism. It highlights how these different beliefs shape not only views on the divine, but also approaches to, creation myths and ethics and the relationship between humanity and the divine.
I found myself wondering how each system might shape my view of the universe or my, relationship with a higher power. It's a thought-provoking question.
It definitely encourages a deeper reflection on the nature of belief and how it influences our understanding of the world.
Absolutely. Speaking of beliefs, let's talk about the law of attraction. This is something so many people are curious about. I appreciated how the book didn't just present it as this, trendy concept, but actually grounded it in historical and spiritual contexts, tracing its roots back to ancient teachings and the New Thought movement.
Right. And what's really interesting is how the book connects the law of attraction to scientific concepts like neuroplasticity and the placebo effect.
Okay.
Neuroplasticity shows that, our brains can actually change based on our experiences. So if we consistently focus on positive thoughts and beliefs, we might be rewiring our brains to support those beliefs.
So it's not just wishful thinking. There might be like a biological basis for how our thoughts can influence our experiences.
Exactly. And then the placebo effect, demonstrates how belief alone can trigger real physical changes, which further supports the idea that our minds have a powerful influence on our well-being.
The book also delves into the teachings of Abraham, channeled by Esther Hicks, which have been hugely influential in popularizing the law of attraction. I'm curious, have you ever explored those teachings before?
I've definitely come across them.
Yeah.
I find the concept of vibrational alignment particularly intriguing.
Yeah?
This idea that by raising our emotional frequency, we can attract the things we desire.
So it's all about cultivating those positive emotions like
Right.
joy and gratitude and love.
And remember, the law of attraction isn't about passively wishing for things.
Yeah.
The book emphasizes taking action and aligning our actions with our intentions.
So it's a great reminder that we're not just victims of circumstance. We have the power to shape our reality through our thoughts and emotions and actions.
Absolutely. And the book offers, practical exercises like visualization and goal setting to help you do just that.
Now, for something completely different, the book explores the impact of the novel The Thornbirds. You familiar with that?
Yes.
Which deals with forbidden love and priestly celibacy. It's fascinating how a work of fiction can spark these real-world conversations about complex social and religious issues.
Well, the book, it uses the Thornbirds as a springboard to examine the debate surrounding priestly celibacy in the Catholic Church. It presents both sides of the argument thoughtfully, allowing readers to draw their own conclusions.
I appreciate that it doesn't shy away from these sensitive topics, but approaches them with nuance and respect.
It's a great example of how storytelling can be a powerful tool for exploring challenging themes and prompting critical thinking.
Okay, let's move on to the concept of trisector leadership. This idea shifts away from the traditional business-centric view of leadership, suggesting that effective leadership is needed in all sectors of society.
It's about recognizing the importance of leadership,
Yeah.
not just in the private sector, but also in the nonprofit and charitable sectors.
And what's really compelling is how the book breaks down the strengths of each sector.
Yeah. So the private sector, they drive innovation and economic growth. The nonprofit sector, they focus on social impact.
Yeah.
And then the charitable sector, promotes altruism and positive change.
So the beauty of trisector leadership is it encourages collaboration.
Right.
It's about recognizing that, true progress often comes from working together,
Yeah.
leveraging the unique strength of each of these sectors.
It's a model that's becoming increasingly relevant in today's complex world.
Absolutely. Where the biggest challenges require, these multifaceted solutions.
Yeah.
And building on that, the book also delves into what distinguishes inspired leadership from what it calls expired leadership. It uses the example of Jesus Christ
Okay.
as a model of inspired leadership, someone who embodied, vision, empathy, and service.
It's a powerful contrast to, expired leadership, which is often characterized by, autocracy and a reliance on authority without genuine connection.
Yeah. This comparison, I think, really highlights the importance of leading with integrity, inspiring others and fostering that sense of community.
For sure.
Now let's turn to a topic that often sparks debate. It's the complex relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this section really delves into the transformative power of faith and miracle, particularly in the context of Christianity.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even in the face of adversity or social stigma, faith can be an incredible source of strength and resilience.
Yeah. Mary Magdalene is often portrayed as this kind of controversial figure.
Mm.
Right.
But the book presents her as this like pivotal figure in the Christian narrative, someone who embodies belief and showcases the potential for personal transformation through faith.
It's a fascinating exploration of her role in the story.
Yeah.
And how, her unwavering belief played a significant part in the early Christian movement.
Okay, now let's get into something I think you'll find particularly relevant, given your interest in, listeners' known interest. The book takes a critical look at how film and television shape our perceptions of different cultures and social issues.
Oh, this is such an important topic, especially in our media-saturated world. I was particularly drawn to the book's analysis of how media can either reinforce or challenge stereotypes.
The book uses specific examples to illustrate its points, like the movie Not Without My Daughter, which has been criticized for, perpetuating these negative stereotypes about Middle Eastern culture.
Hmm.
And even though, the film is based on a true story, its portrayal of an entire culture through this very specific lens
Raises, concerns about how it might contribute to misunderstanding and prejudice.
It's a good reminder that even seemingly factual narratives can be presented in ways that reinforce harmful biases.
On the flip side, the book highlights, TV shows like The West Wing and Boston Legal as examples of positive media representation.
Right.
The West Wing, with its focus on the inner workings of the White House, emphasizes the importance of ethics and empathy and public service.
It humanizes politicians.
Right.
And encourages viewers to think critically about the complexities of government and social issues.
And Boston Legal, with its blend of humor and drama, tackles these important legal and ethical issues, prompting viewers to consider their own stances on social justice and personal rights and, the law in general.
Both shows offer, nuanced portrayals of characters.
Yeah.
And spark conversations about important social and political issues.
Yeah. But to be discerning viewers, we need strong media literacy skills, this ability to critically analyze the messages we're consuming and understand how they might be shaping our perceptions.
Yeah, we can't just passively absorb information. We need to actively engage with it, question it, and consider multiple perspectives.
Right. Okay, now let's get into something that's foundational to how we perceive the world. The distinction between fact, fiction, and belief.
Interesting.
This is something we all navigate daily, especially in the age of information overload.
It's crucial to be able to differentiate between these categories, especially when we're bombarded with information from all these different sources.
The book does a great job of breaking down these concepts, defining fact as verifiable information grounded in evidence, fiction as, narratives created from the imagination,
Right.
and belief as, an acceptance of something as true even without concrete proof.
It's a helpful framework for evaluating the information we encounter and recognizing how our beliefs can sometimes cloud our judgment.
The book also challenges the idea that our understanding of reality should be limited to what's directly observable.
Yeah.
It introduces this concept of veritas, the Latin word for truth, and connects it to the idea of an energy vortex.
That's an intriguing concept, right? Suggesting that our thoughts and emotions and beliefs can create this sort of energy field that influences our experiences.
Right, and it ties back to the idea that we have more agency in shaping our reality than we might realize.
Yeah, and the book encourages, practices like meditation to help us cultivate a more positive and aligned energy.
So it's about connecting with our inner selves.
Yeah.
And aligning our internal world with what we desire in our external world.
That's a powerful concept, inviting us to consider how our thoughts, our emotions, and beliefs might be shaping our reality.
This is a great place to pause for now. But get ready, because there's much more to uncover in part 2 of this deep dive.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome back. I'm really excited to kind of delve deeper into some of the concepts we touched on in the first part. One that I've been thinking about quite a bit is Dr. Shelley D. Chochmach's equation.
Okay.
Eve equals ME squared.
It definitely challenges conventional thinking about time.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing time as this, like, fixed linear progression,
Yeah.
Dr. Chuchmuch proposes that it's actually created by the energy of our minds and emotions.
Whoa, that's a bold statement.
It is.
How does the book even like break down this concept?
Well, it starts by explaining that our thoughts and emotions, they aren't just these abstract things floating around.
Right.
They have a real energetic presence.
Mm-hmm.
And when we combine our mental and emotional energy, it creates what's known as qi.
Qi.
You're probably familiar with the term from, martial arts or traditional Chinese medicine.
Right. Qi is often described as like a vital life force or energy that flows through, all living things.
Exactly.
But how does qi relate to time?
Well, Dr. Chochmuch suggests that our focused attention on a goal or intention actually influences our experience of time.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed how, like, time flies when you're completely absorbed in something you love, but it just drags on and on when you're bored or disinterested?
Yes, absolutely. It's like our emotional engagement can actually warp our perception of time.
Precisely. And here's where it gets really interesting. The book connects this idea to Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences.
Okay, yeah.
Your, Network 9, which describes all the different ways we process information and interact with the world.
So, there's linguistic intelligence and logical mathematical intelligence, spatial intelligence, and so on. We each have like our own unique blend of these intelligences.
Exactly. And Dr. Chuchmuch proposes that each of these intelligences can be influenced by how we manage our energy and focus our attention over time. So, for example, someone with like really strong musical intelligence might find that time seems to vanish when they're deeply engrossed in, playing music.
That makes sense. Their passion and focus like create a different experience of time.
Exactly. And someone with, strong interpersonal intelligence might find that spending time building meaningful relationships is deeply fulfilling
Yeah.
and makes time feel expansive.
Right.
Dr. Chuchmuch suggests that by understanding our own Network 9 and applying, the E=mE² framework, we can actually become more conscious creators of our own reality.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. It's kind of an empowering concept that we have more influence over our experience of time than we might realize.
It is, and that idea of personal empowerment is a recurring theme in the book,
Right.
especially when it comes to the law of attraction.
Right. I'm curious about, how the book connects the law of attraction to scientific concepts like neuroplasticity and the placebo effect. It seems like a bit of a leap to bridge those worlds.
It might seem that way at first, but when you look closely, there are some fascinating connections.
Oh, okay.
So neuroplasticity, the idea that our brains can change and adapt based on our experiences,
Right.
actually supports the law of attraction principle that our thoughts can shape our reality.
Interesting.
If we consistently focus on positive thoughts and beliefs, we can absolutely rewire our brains to support those beliefs.
So it's not just wishful thinking. There's a real biological basis for how our thoughts can influence our experiences.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then there's the placebo effect,
Yeah.
where the mere belief in a treatment, even if it's a sugar pill, can trigger real physiological changes.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the power of our minds to influence our physical well-being.
Yeah, I remember reading about studies where people experiencing pain were given a placebo, and they actually reported feeling less pain,
Right.
even though they weren't receiving any like real medication.
It's incredible, isn't it? It shows how powerful our beliefs and expectations can be. The book also discusses the work of Esther Hicks and the teachings of Abraham, which have been so influential in the law of attraction movement. Have you explored those teachings at all?
I've definitely, come across them,
Yeah.
but I haven't delved too deeply. What aspects do you find particularly interesting?
I find the concept of vibrational alignment really fascinating.
Okay.
The idea that by raising our emotional frequency, we can attract the things we desire.
Okay.
It's about, cultivating a state of joy, gratitude, and love rather than dwelling on negative emotions.
That resonates with me. It's like the idea that like attracts, like, right, if we're vibrating at a higher frequency, we're more likely to attract positive experiences.
Exactly. And the book emphasizes that the law of attraction It isn't a passive process. We need to take aligned action to bring our desires into reality.
Right.
It's not enough to just sit around and wish for things. We need to be actively moving towards our goals.
Makes a lot of sense. It's about aligning our actions with our intentions.
Exactly.
Speaking of taking action, the book's discussion of trisector leadership really resonated with me. I love how it emphasizes the importance of effective leadership in all sectors of society, not just in the business world.
Yeah, it's a powerful shift in perspective.
Right.
It's about recognizing that leadership is needed everywhere, from, government and nonprofit organizations to community initiatives and social movements.
Yeah. And the book, beautifully breaks down the strengths of each sector, explaining how, like, the private sector, focuses on innovation and economic growth.
Right.
The nonprofit sector prioritizes, like, social impact, and the charitable sector is driven by altruism and a desire to create positive change.
And the real magic happens when these sectors collaborate, leveraging their unique strengths to achieve a shared vision.
Right.
It's about recognizing that, the biggest challenges we face as a society often require multifaceted solutions.
It reminds me of the book's discussion of inspired leadership
Yes.
versus, what it calls expired leadership.
Yeah, that's a great comparison.
The comparison between Jesus Christ as an example of inspired leadership and more autocratic, less connected styles of leadership is pretty striking.
It really highlights the essential qualities of effective and impactful leadership.
Yeah.
Inspiring others.
Right.
Leading with integrity.
Yeah.
Fostering collaboration and nurturing a sense of community.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the book's analysis of the novel, The Thornbirds.
Oh, yes.
It's fascinating how the book uses this story of forbidden love and priestly celibacy to spark a conversation about real world issues.
Yeah.
As someone interested in listeners' known interest, I think you'll find this part particularly relevant.
I'm sure I will. The book doesn't shy away from these sensitive topics, but it addresses them with, nuance and respect.
Right.
It uses the Thornbirds as a springboard to examine the ongoing debate surrounding priestly celibacy in the Catholic Church. And what I appreciate is that it presents both sides of the argument, allowing, readers to draw their own conclusions.
It's a great example of how storytelling can be a powerful tool for exploring complex themes and challenging, conventional thinking.
Absolutely. It invites readers to, engage with these issues on a deeper level, prompting reflection and perhaps even shifting perspectives.
Speaking of shifting perspectives, let's dive into the book's exploration of Eastern philosophies.
Okay.
I was particularly intrigued by the concepts of mindfulness and the Tao.
Those are two incredibly rich concepts that offer, timeless wisdom for navigating the complexities of life. Mindfulness, as the book explains, is about cultivating present moment awareness.
Okay.
It's about paying attention to our, thoughts and feelings and sensations without judgment, simply observing them as they arise.
So it's about being fully present in each moment rather than dwelling on the past or worrying about the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the Tao, which is, central to Taoism,
Right.
represents the natural order of the universe, the flow of life that guides all things.
It's a concept that can be, like, difficult to grasp.
It is.
It's more about, like, experiencing it than defining it.
Yes. And the book highlights the principle of Wu Wei, which translates to, non-action or effortless action.
Right.
It's about aligning ourselves with the Tao, allowing things to unfold naturally rather than, forcing our will upon the world.
So it's almost like surrendering to the flow of life rather than, constantly trying to control it.
It's a powerful concept that can be applied to everything from, our personal relationships to our careers.
Yeah.
Encouraging us to let go of the need to control everything and trust in the unfolding of life.
That brings us to the book's discussion of pathways to peace. It's incredibly inspiring to see how different cultures and traditions have approached the pursuit of peace, especially in a world that can often feel so divided.
Yeah. The book beautifully synthesizes these, peace teachings, highlighting the universal themes that run through them.
Yeah.
Nonviolence, compassion, understanding, and interconnectedness. It's a reminder that despite our differences, the desire for peace is a common thread that binds us.
I was particularly moved by the book's focus on practical activities for cultivating peace,
Yeah,
both, within ourselves and in our relationships with others.
absolutely.
The exercises on active listening and building empathy are incredibly valuable tools for fostering understanding and resolving conflict.
They remind us that, true peace starts with how we communicate and interact with each other.
Right.
It's about, listening with intention, seeking to understand rather than judge,
Yeah.
and cultivating a sense of compassion for ourselves and those around us.
Okay. And finally, let's tackle this challenge of integrating science and spirituality in our modern world.
Oh, okay.
It's a topic that many people struggle with as we try to reconcile our beliefs with the ever-evolving scientific understanding of the universe.
It's a balancing act that requires, open-mindedness, critical thinking, and a willingness to embrace both the rational and the intuitive.
Yeah.
The book highlights, the potential benefits of finding that harmony, a more holistic worldview, enhanced well-being through practices like mindfulness and ethical frameworks for navigating complex issues.
But it also acknowledges the challenges, we might encounter, like conflicting beliefs, rigid dogma, and the potential for misinterpretations. It's a reminder that this journey of integration, it's an ongoing process, one that requires self-reflection, a willingness to learn and grow, and an openness to challenging our own assumptions.
I think the self-assessment tool the book provides is incredibly helpful in this regard. It encourages, readers to honestly examine their own beliefs,
Yeah.
and see where they might align with or diverge from scientific understanding.
It's a great starting point for anyone seeking to find that balance between the scientific and the spiritual.
Now, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've explored so far.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from building our own personal pantheons to exploring the intersection of science and spirituality. What stands out to you as we kind of get ready to wrap up this deep dive?
I think what really strikes me is the book's emphasis on personal empowerment. It's not just about passively absorbing information.
Right.
It's about actively engaging with these concepts and using them to shape our own, understanding of the world.
I completely agree. It's like an invitation to become conscious creators of our own reality. Whether that's through building our personal pantheon, harnessing the law of attraction, or even just integrating ancient wisdom with, modern scientific understanding.
It's a call to step into our power and recognize that we have more agency than we often realize.
Absolutely. Now, before we wrap up, I want to revisit a few key themes that I think will particularly resonate with you as someone interested in listeners' known interest.
Okay.
Let's start with the book's comparison of monotheism and polytheism. I found it fascinating how these different approaches to the divine have shaped like entire civilizations.
It's a fundamental distinction that influences not just religious beliefs, but also, cultural values and ethical frameworks, even our understanding of history.
Monotheism, with its emphasis on one God as the ultimate source of authority and morality, often leads to a more centralized and codified religious structure, as we see in the Abrahamic faiths.
Right. And this can impact everything from, social hierarchies to legal systems shaping how societies are organized and governed.
Yeah. Polytheism, with its pantheon of gods and goddesses representing various aspects of life and nature, tends to, allow for more localized and diverse forms of worship.
Exactly. This can lead to a more fluid and adaptable religious landscape where different communities might venerate certain deities over others based on their specific needs or local traditions.
It's fascinating to see how these different belief systems have evolved and influenced human history.
And I love how the book goes beyond simply outlining these belief systems,
Yeah.
It encourages readers to consider the concept of personal pantheons.
Yeah. It's an invitation to create a personalized approach to spirituality, drawing from various traditions and beliefs.
I think that's a really powerful exercise, especially in today's world where where people are increasingly seeking, spiritual meaning outside of traditional religious structures.
Right. It's about finding those elements that speak to your soul, regardless of where they originate.
Exactly.
And speaking of personal empowerment, I want to touch on the book's exploration of Eastern philosophies, specifically the concepts of mindfulness and the Tao. These are such profound concepts that offer, timeless wisdom for navigating life's complexities.
Mindfulness is about, cultivating present moment awareness,
Yeah.
paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment.
So it's about being fully present in each moment rather than, dwelling on the past or worrying about the future.
Exactly. And the Tao, that elusive concept central to Taoism, represents the natural order of the universe, the flow of life that guides all things.
It's a concept that can be hard to define, but it resonates deeply with something within us.
The book highlights the principle of Wu Wei, which translates to non-action or effortless action, encouraging us to, align ourselves with the Tao and allow things to unfold naturally rather than trying to force our will on the world.
Yeah, it's a reminder that sometimes the best course of action is simply to be present, observe, and trust in the process of life.
Yeah.
That brings us to the book's discussion of pathways to peace, which feels especially relevant in today's world. It's incredibly inspiring to see how different cultures and traditions have approached the pursuit of peace.
And the book does a beautiful job of synthesizing these peace teachings,
Right.
highlighting those universal themes of nonviolence, compassion, understanding, and interconnectedness.
Yeah, it's a reminder that despite our differences, the desire for peace is a common thread that connects us all.
Exactly.
And I appreciate that the book doesn't just talk about peace in these abstract terms.
Right.
It provides, practical suggestions for cultivating peace within ourselves and in our relationships with others.
Absolutely. The exercises on, active listening and building empathy are incredibly valuable.
Right.
They remind us that true peace starts with how we communicate and interact with each other.
It's about seeking to understand rather than judge,
Mhm.
and approaching each other with, compassion and a willingness to listen.
Exactly.
And finally, we come to the challenge of integrating science and spirituality in our modern world, which is a theme that has kind of woven its way through, our entire discussion. It's something many of us grapple with as we try to reconcile, seemingly disparate worldviews.
The book acknowledges that it's an ongoing process,
Yeah.
a balancing act that requires, open-mindedness, critical thinking, and a willingness to embrace both the rational and the intuitive.
And it highlights the potential benefits of finding that harmony,
Yes.
a more holistic worldview, a deeper sense of well-being and stronger ethical frameworks.
But it also acknowledges the challenges that can arise.
Right.
Especially, when we encounter conflicting beliefs or rigid dogma or misinterpretations.
Yeah. The self-assessment tool the book provides is a great resource for anyone seeking to find that balance between the scientific and the spiritual.
It is.
It encourages us to honestly examine our own beliefs and see where they align with or diverge from our understanding of the world, through the lens of science.
It's an invitation to embark on a lifelong journey of exploration and integration, continually seeking a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe we inhabit.
It's been an incredible journey exploring these excerpts with you. I hope this deep dive has sparked some, new insights and inspired you to continue exploring these fascinating topics.
I think the book's emphasis on personal empowerment is a really powerful takeaway. We have more agency in shaping our reality than we often realize, and it's up to each of us to decide how we want to engage with these ideas and apply them to our own lives.
We encourage you to keep asking questions, keep exploring, and keep diving deep into the vast ocean of knowledge and wisdom that's available to us.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until next time.